And welcome to the end of August in a year gardening, following my exploits in the garden through the year of 2020. And what a really strange month August has been this year. We started off with temperatures up in their 30s and pool parties and everything going on, and over the last week it has been rain and strong winds and a very, very different end to the month, and the temperatures below normal. And so now, as the daylight hours get shorter, we have to make the most of that time that we've got. And I'm going to be transplanting some lavender seedlings, sowing some more seeds for next year, getting things really well underway, and continue with my harvesting. I've been digging up some potatoes here. I've got some tomatoes to pick, and I'm going to be nipping out the tops of those tomato plants in the greenhouse to stop them getting height, so that we can concentrate on the fruit. So there's lots of things I want to share with you today, so that time I got on with some more work. Well, I've just been digging away here, and there's a nice little baby slow worm just hiding himself down here. If there's a baby there, Mummy and Daddy can't be that far away, can they? Beautiful things to see. Well, that's a pretty nice bag of potatoes. I've got a good 2 or 3 kilos here, which will keep us going for a couple of weeks indoors. Very nice to have fresh potatoes indoors. Might boil a couple of up with some salad this afternoon. The reason I've come into the greenhouse here is the tomato plants are getting a little bit on the large side. We've got some superb fruit on here. Let's just pull, there are tomatoes all over these plants, and we've got some higher up and a lot of green fruit on here. But what I need to do is just start to take the tops out, because they're giving us too much height, and I just want to take the top out about the last growing shoot. They're actually coming up through the window here, so we need to just reduce them in size. This is going to enable the plants to put more energy into developing the fruit that is already on the trees. So we're going to just take out the tops here. God, just a few days I've not been down here for, and they're growing far too high. So we're just going to take these tops out, just down to the next leaves down. A lot of these have actually set now. And just take these tops. Too much green growing, and they're not putting their energy into the fruit. So taking these tops out, we'll do this one here as well, just down to there. It's going to enable that fruit to develop, and we'll gain the benefits of that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop up, get my lavender seedlings, and we're going to transplant those into some slightly bigger pots now. Well, these are my lavender seedlings, and they are looking quite nice and healthy, but I do need to check the root to see how they're doing. So I'm just going to pop this one out, and we have got a reasonable amount of root on there. They're not in a pot bound situation, but I need to move those into a slightly better drained compost, into a larger pot for them to overwinter. These will be going alongside the stream, along the bank of the stream for next year, and that lovely smell of lavender on them is going to be absolutely wonderful. They'll be joining the plants there. So I'm just going to sort out my compost mix and some pots and get these moved on. So what I've done is I've half filled these pots with a very, very gritty, easily draining compost, just half filled, so that I can then take these plants, pot them into the pots, and then I'm going to dress those with some more compost, make sure there's no air getting in around them, nicely fill those pots, and then they'll be ready just to overwinter in here. I'm going to keep them moist but not wet. And then these will be ready to grow on for next year, and I'm sure, oh, they're going to be absolutely wonderful. Well, here we have our lavender plants in their new pots. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep them in the greenhouse for the next 2 or 3 days or so, just to make sure they're comfortable in their new pots. Then I'll be moving these outdoors into a protected place to overwinter before we actually plant them out next spring. Fantastic. Just whilst we're in here, as my seed trays get freed up by taking plants out and putting other ones in, I can carry on planting some more things for next year. So I've got some more wallflower seeds, and I'm just going to sprinkle these finally on this tray here. And these are a mixed colour wallflower. And get these going. With the shorter days and the cooler temperatures, germination is now taking that little bit longer. So I am having an installation put into the greenhouse to allow me to have heat in here over this winter, which will be nice. I can probably come down here with a nice cup of tea and sit down here on a cold winter's day and still talk to my plants, which would be nice. Now, I also bring a radio down and play them some music from time to time. I'm sure that they respond to a nice bit of classic FM. Even if they don't, it makes me feel better. So I'll just pop that into there, and I'll grab my label, mark those up as mixed wallflowers, and they'll go onto the shelf with other plants that are growing at the moment. Well, now I'm just up at the memory garden. We've had a lovely display of Montbretias and gladioli over the summer. And whilst there are still some lovely buds coming through, a lot of these flowers have now gone over. So it is time to just deadhead these, clean up the area in general, because already I can see the forget-me-nots are starting to come through. So I've got a lot of tidying up and sorting to do in this area now, just to bring it back to some sort of splendour. We've got also the wind where it's come through. Even though this is a nice protected area of the garden, it has laid a couple of the gladioli over. So I'm going to get some stakes and put those back up. I'm going to take off the peas that have been growing, the pea seeds on the sweet peas, and hopefully that will just give us a few more flowers as we come to the end of the sweet pea season as well. So a little bit of work to do in here. Another area of the garden that constantly needs work is the rose border and the deadheading. Oh, scent, so heady, beautiful. The deadheading of the roses is very important. A lot of other plants like this wonderful shapes of the seed head. I'm just leaving that. I love the architectural form of these plants. This is just about gone over, and I'll be trimming this down very, very shortly. It's lovely to see that I've got a few of the native geraniums are coming back into flower after I gave them their big haircut. But the delicate form of the roses, backed up by the lovely rudbeckias, is really, really just giving me that late summer joy at the moment. So I'm going to just carry on with my tidying in here for the time being. Well, you may remember a couple of episodes ago, young Laura Louise came round and visited, and we had a nice little chat. And during that chat, Laura Louise suggested that it might be a good idea to put up some more bird houses in the garden. And so I've got a couple of nesting boxes designed for tets, but I thought, what else would be suitable? So I've been and bought a nesting box for robins and wrens. Now this is an open face nesting box, so it has a rather large opening. What you have to bear in mind is predators, birds like magpies, they will come and raid the nests. So particularly the robins and wrens, they like an open faced box, but they like it hidden. And I've thought that behind this area here of the privet, I can mount this. It needs to be about 2 meters off of the ground, but protected from attack. And this privet will afford me that protection. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide this to one side here, and I'm going to fix the box behind on this post here. And the box has a hole pre-drilled, which is really fantastic. It makes it easier for me to use my screwdriver in here. And I'm going to pop this up here and see if this gives a home to some more birds over the coming years. That's nicely on there, and then this pops back over the front and gives the birds the protection that they need. So good thought, Laura Louise, and maybe you'll spot that next time you come round. Well, whilst I've been thinking about birds, now is a great time to cut our hedges. The birds have fledged their nests, but it's always worth just having a quick check down the hedge before you give it its main cut. And I'll be giving my hedging the main cut over the next week or so, just waiting for the hedge itself to dry out a little bit. We've had a lot of rain for the last couple of days, so I'm just going to wait for that to dry out before I take the hedge cutter onto it and start tidying that area up. There's been a lot of maintenance today, and I can assure you there is more to come. It's that time of year where keeping on top of the garden is so important, and also we're still thinking of preparing for our plants for next year now and working out a program. So I'm going to be getting my trusty pen and paper and working out a plan for the next 3 to 4 months. So I am very, very ordered in the planting and the preparation for next year. So we've done a reasonable bit today. I'm going to be doing some more planting out when I've got a spare area in the vegetable garden. I've bought some seed potatoes to go in that are specially designed to harvest for Christmas dinner, which will be lovely. And still work to do round in the courtyard garden, a lot of tidying up there because the wind again has been blowing through and playing havoc, but hey ho, that's all part of an outdoor life. So I've shown you today where I've been harvesting some potatoes. We've trimmed up the tomato plants, moved the lavenders, we've been tidying up in the garden. I've still got to finish the stream, but the actual pond liner has arrived now, and when I get the right conditions to finish that off, I'll be doing that. No panic, I need to get it done before the first frosts, so I've probably got until mid-November to get that completed. So I'd just like to say thank you once again for your company on this journey this year. By the time I get this posted, it may well be into the last few days of August. We've got the bank holiday weekend coming up, so hopefully the weather will smile on us then, and then we're going to be into September and the last 3 months of 2020. Where has that time gone? But for now, I will raise a small glass with you, and I've got a rather nice Californian Cabernet Sauvignon this time. So stay safe, your good health, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.